Ladies, gentlemen, data lovers, welcome to another session where we're going to talk about how to measure the success of your data office. We're going to talk about KPIs, right? And who doesn't love KPIs? But let me tell you, by the end of this session, you will actually love KPIs. Now, it's Pio Marolla here, CEO of ThinkRinkers, and I'm speaking to you from the wonderful city of Yerevan in Armenia. 2,800 years of history which you can live and breathe every day. If you've never been here, I definitely recommend you to give it a shot. It will surprise you just as it surprised me the first time I visited. The first thing I'd like to ask you, therefore, is where are you coming from today? We're supposed to be a pretty good number today, people coming from all over the world, because indeed, measuring the success of your data office is a priority. There are things like, data is the new gold, let's become data-driven, or every company is a data company. All of these things, let me tell you, they're already, they serve their purpose, but they no longer are enough. If there's no way to measure value creation in your data office, you end up with disappointment and misaligned expectations, because we often see whenever we do polls with ThinkRinkers, whenever we ask what are the reasons for failure in the data management initiatives, tools only appear having about a 2% impact on them. Often the problem is in strategy, stakeholder management, and misaligned expectations. And this is something that KPIs are really going to help you with. Let's see who we have here today. We have Sabina from Tashkent, Martin, London, Paul from the Netherlands, Julia from Berlin, plenty of us today, Francis from Geneva, Natalia, of course, from the headquarters of ThinkRinkers in Prague. We have more from Montreal and Ulrich from Berlin. Welcome to all of you. Now, of course, throughout this session, I encourage you to come up with your questions. Shoot. If you disagree with anything we say, same thing. The reason why we do these sessions is exactly, and we do them live, is exactly so that we can have an interactive conversation with you, and you can take home answers that you can use for your own specific case. That's the reason why we're here, and within the time that we will be together, I will try to take every single question. Now, the guest for today is a great friend of ThinkRinkers, Nagim Ashufta. He's the CEO and founder of DRIVA. And every time, we have a conversation, we have a session with him, I have to do some homework. And the reason for that is that Nagim likes to go deep into things. The advantage, of course, is that by the end of this conversation, we will have actionable, concrete actionable and concrete lessons that we can all learn from, and very, very much things that you can apply in your organizations. So without any further ado, it's time to welcome on stage Nagim. Nagim, welcome. How are you? Oops, I cannot hear you.
How
There
about now?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. Hi, Pio, and everyone else joining us today.
Very good. So you've been with us about 3 times already, and however, we always have new people coming. So why don't you tell us something about yourself?
Yes, of course. I'm Nagim from Hamburg, Germany, and in the area of data and analytics for now almost 15 years. Have been a consultant, have been in the industry back and forth, and now for more than 4 years, I think it's now, time is running. Engage with DRIVA to support companies on their journey to become more data and analytics, and nowadays also AI focused and driven, and to apply here capabilities and services.
Yeah, very good. It's a pleasure to have you here with us, and let's get right into it. So, measuring the success of your data office. I said a few things before about why it's important, but let's elaborate a little bit. Why is it so important to have KPIs?
Yes, I think it's a valid question. I mean, and I like to build up here a scenario. You are in the position that you finally get the approval to build up your data office or to engage in building up data capabilities. So you got a mandate. You engage in conceptual work, you engage maybe in some initiatives, projects, use cases, and so on. So you're basically really engaged and in operational activities active. What happens, or what I have seen many times, is that you are basically in a tunnel. You do not really realize anymore, or you do not have the time to communicate the contribution of your data office. And KPIs play here an important role. Basically, they allow you to highlight the value contribution of your data office, depending also on which capability you want to highlight. And they allow also you, as well as the federated data organization, to monitor the improvement or the maturity in becoming more, let's say, data minded or data literate. So in that sense, it's a good vehicle to communicate where you stand, what you have contributed, and what you need maybe to adjust on the journey.
Okay, very good. Now, I fully agree with you. I mean, as I was saying in the beginning, you've got to get the business on board, right? You've got to offer some kind of measurement of what you're doing in order to keep them engaged. So KPIs are really your friend in the end, because they help you tracking what you're really doing, what the data office is really doing, the value creation of the data office, isn't it?
Again, you're completely right, Pio. And I would like again to highlight different aspects of KPIs. First of all, you can, together with your sponsor or your core data management roles, agree on the key factors that you want to engage with. Yeah. So basically, what is important to you as the data officer, but also what is important to your core stakeholders, which are coming from the different domains or functional units, yeah, or from the C-level. Yeah. So you can agree on then key KPIs and focus on them at the end, yeah, and engage or put the effort in those KPIs, yeah. And by doing that, you create an understanding already with your counterparts why these KPIs are more important than the others, yeah. So it's a kind of agreement on what we want to focus, yeah.
Which is crucial. I mean, it's so important to do this together with the business counterpart. I fully agree with you. So there are clear expectations from the beginning. There are clear measurables from the beginning. So that's you brought up a very good point by saying that it's not just about what the data side wants. It's about sitting together and establishing KPIs together. That's very, very important. Now, still, at the same time, KPIs are often metrics, there are numbers. What's the right strategy? How do you actually make sure that you're picking the right metrics, you're picking the right numbers, and you're making them the KPIs that the organization should follow?
Again, very good question, Pio. And you get here now a consultancy answer. It depends always on the company, on the circumstances within the company, and the level of maturity that the company has in data analytics and AI capabilities. Yeah. Also, it depends on what projects, strategic projects, the company is focusing on. So when we have a certain level of maturity, well, let's say, for example, you have an enterprise data catalog already established, then you would look into other KPIs related to data onboarding or the usage of an enterprise data catalog. For example, you would engage stronger in data lineage related KPIs than, for example, a more immature company that, for example, is busy initially with the setup of data domains, and it would be more looking into KPIs related to establishing domains and onboarding the first round of data terms within these domains or within the domains that are in the EDC, Enterprise Data Catalog. So it depends, yeah. But again, it's something where you agree on and you make sure that your key stakeholders, again, are supporting you, yeah. I have seen many companies engaging in conceptual work, as I said, defining domains, defining roles, yeah. And then they are asked, so what do we get out of this? The KPIs would ideally attach, yeah, what is the value contribution out of these initiatives? Yeah. So that is the important aspect of it. So again, we need to look here together with the extended, yeah, or federated data organization, what we want to drive here.
Very good. There's a question here from Cesar. By the way, Cesar, welcome. It's great to see you here.
Hi.
So, how do you deal with competing priorities with different stakeholders? Each one might have a need, but then you can't measure everything.
The question is again, how do they compete with each other? Is it, and here I like to bring in a layer to the KPIs. We have KPIs that are more on a macro level. They are more in general, and they are towards everyone. And then they are a micro level. These micro levels are specific then. For example, if we talk about data products, applying or establishing data product mechanisms, yeah, so that you can have a demand management for data products until the delivery, yeah. So this entire process is on a macro level. That is a different. There you have different stakeholders and different accountabilities attached to it. Then, for example, if we go in a micro level, which is, for example, related to specific data products, and then you have here a data product owner that is to be considered or in the prioritization step. So I would say to Cesar that we first of all need to understand this difference of what are we talking about, more macro or more micro. And then I would say that when we prioritize, do it ideally with your data domain owners together. Because the data domain owners are the ones that have to implement the overall data strategy or data analytics strategy. So if they have an understanding of it, then they would also give you feedback what is for them feasible and how to implement that. And I also would add here that a successful data office has also the mandate to make some big calls or some decisions if it comes to direction. Yeah. So democratizing everything, yeah, to the last bit is not efficient. Yeah. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, I get it. The point about not democratizing everything, but is this authority given to data offices? Do they have that? And if not, how do they get that?
They need to get it by obviously demanding it first of all, and making the decision makers, which is probably on the C level, aware of why do they need it. So again, if we use use cases and highlight with these use cases where the gap is, so where the gap is and how the data office is filling that gap, then most of the time the C level is understanding and is then following the suggestion of the data office. And here again with KPIs, you can also indicate then the value contribution of these gaps. Yeah, but it depends. Yeah, what where we want to look into. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Now, do you have something like a framework or an approach in order to define KPIs? I understand that clearly you need to sit down with the, with the parties and decide them together. But is there something that our audience can use, a framework they can use?
Yes, of course. I mean, we have a template, or based on our experience, we developed a template, a reference model, some good practices that we have applied in different companies. And so whoever is listening and viewing this, please feel free to reach out, DM me, get in touch with me. I'm happy to share that with you. And what I can say is that we have, based on the capabilities that are within a data and AI office, let's say that way, we have a stack of KPIs defined. So depending on the maturity level of the company, again, you can apply one or the other KPI, or we try to establish these KPIs with the central data office team. If you want to, Pio, we can.
Yeah, we can. Maybe we can. You can show something.
Yes, happy to do that. Yeah. So if you go on the next on the slide 3.
You can go ahead.
Wait. Then let me do that. This one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it? I hope it's good visible for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so here what you see basically on the right side, you see these capabilities in which a data office would, or we suggest, should engage. In some of them more, in some of them less, again, depending on the level of maturity that they have and the strategic focus that they have. But we have a number of KPIs defined for each of these clusters, if you want, that you see here on the right. Yeah. And again, what I think the audience also, or what I'd like to highlight towards the audience, is also that data management, or the data office, is different than other functional units or teams, because they operate horizontal within the organization. We have marketing and sales, for example, that engage more vertical, within, let's say, a silo. But the data office is end-to-end horizontal, engaging with the audience. So that means they have to define KPIs, and get people on board from all these different units, and define the right ones that is fitting to them. Yeah. And again, it's about then selecting the right ones that demonstrate the value to the company. And it's in a continuous improvement process based on these KPIs then also.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, so it's an ongoing thing. How often do you actually recommend data offices to catch up on KPIs? I know that probably depends on the KPI, but how often do you suggest catching up?
Yeah, I mean, you just said it actually. You said it depends on the KPI. There are KPIs that are maybe necessary to look into on a monthly basis. Yeah. For example, if we look into the onboarding of data within the enterprise data catalog, there I would say a data domain owner should look on a monthly basis into the KPI, indicating to him or her, how the domain roles, data definition owner, data stewards, are progressing on the onboarding activities. So that would be, for example, on a monthly basis happening. Then you have obviously KPIs that are taking more time, or that should be looked in on a quarterly basis, on a yearly basis. So it depends. If we look more into strategic topics, then I would say let's have a bigger time frame attached to it, to make sure that there is also some time of engagement attached to it before we look again into the KPI. Yeah.
Good. There's a question here from Ulrich. What's your recommendation for organizational setups without a dedicated data office, where data strategy and governance are rather part of a data management group in the IT organization?
Again, I think it's a really good question. So we have to look into the KPIs itself, because as I said, there are macro and micro KPIs. And if we have a federated structure, which I think Ulrich is referring to, where we say like there's a decentralized nature of building KPIs and also operating these capabilities, then you can say like, okay, depending on the KPI, there's no issue. Again, as I mentioned, you can have data experts taking over some of these, or process owners are taking over some of these KPIs, and they try to ensure that the development is based then on the monitoring of these KPIs. So there is no necessity, I would say, for a large number of KPIs that there is a dedicated central data office. Yeah, it will obviously support it, but at the end of the day, the governance, can be, depending on the topic, perfectly be federated.
Okay, got it. So look, these KPIs, of course, they track the success of the data office, but I suppose that there are KPIs a little bit across the whole organization, right? So do these KPIs just track the activity of the data office? Do they apply also to the stakeholders? How is this? Because I also see this as a system of accountability, a general system of accountability.
Yes, definitely. So when we look, for example, into KPIs coming out of the data literacy area, and we look, for example, here into KPIs that are related to, let's say, for example, percentage of data stewards trained in data governance. That is a topic that goes into the entire organization. Yeah. So here we can say like, okay, that KPI gives us an understanding of, for example, how many trainings have been provided, yeah, in what interval they have been provided, how was the number of employees attending these sessions, how was the material received, how much real world use cases have been used in the trainings or have been then improved in the execution through these trainings. Yeah. So this is speaking to a wider audience. Yeah. So we can say this is for data stewards, but we can also say this is for process managers or data product consumers. So fitting to the role, we have a set of KPIs indicating role specific or general, yeah, where we say these are fundamental topics that everyone needs to know within the organization. We can see outcomes, yeah, attached to this KPI. Yeah.
Very good. And we have a question here from Vincent, actually, a very good one. In a company that is not yet data-driven, how do you communicate KPI for continuous improvement or architectural development? The amount of effort spent and the value delivered are not clear for non-technical stakeholders.
Vincent, great question. Because, this is the normal scenario that most of the time you see. And I always come up with the example of a restaurant. The people that are in the kitchen, they need to know the technicalities, they need to know what everyone is talking about in a way. Yeah. So if we talk about a self-made sauce, the ones in the back, they need to know how to prepare it. But the guests that are, in the restaurant, they don't need to know exactly how you prepare the sauce. For them,
Yeah.
it's about what do I get? How is it serving me? Yeah. Am I satisfied with the end result? So this is what needs to be addressed to them. You don't need to highlight to them, oh, this is a KPI, oh, this is a data product. Yeah. For them, it's important. Okay, what is in for me? But for you, I would say now, as a role holder that is a core data management role or an analytics role, you need to probably know these technicalities. But for them, it's just about what is in for me, especially at a lower level of maturity. Yeah, try to speak their language.
Very good point. And that's why you also sit together,
Yeah,
with the business side, because, there need to be, not every number needs to be tracked, and not every number needs to be there as a KPI for the business to care about. You're absolutely right. And sometimes we make the mistakes that the more numbers and metrics we track, the more we can justify something. But being selective about this, particularly when the organization, when the non-technical stakeholders are hearing this for the first time, we need to be selective and make sure we answer the age-old question: what's in it for them?
exactly. It's always about them. Yeah. So it's about what is in for them, and also how you, as the, again, data professional, data expert, can justify your activities. I recently had conversations with some companies, and they approached us because they're saying, after 3 4 years we have been asked, why do we have a data catalog? Yeah, or why do we have now a central data team and so on? And I asked them, how many times have you basically explained your value contribution? Have you used KPIs to measure your contribution? Have you highlighted them? And they said to me that they never actually had used KPIs. And here, this is, I think, a very important point. We data professionals, when we engage with business units and others, we tell them, be data driven. Yeah, use data insights to kind of develop your unit, yeah, and to be more advanced. Honestly, yeah, how much are we within the data offices or as data professions are using that what we preach to others? I give you a small example. I have seen many companies that build up data domains, and I see no data domain for data management, analytics, or AI. Yeah. So how are you basically explaining to others what a data domain looks like if you cannot even provide an example which is coming from, which is basically representing your own unit? Yeah. So KPIs, yeah, are also very helpful to explain us on the journey. Yeah, because we will reach times, moments where there is not much support available for the initiatives, yeah, budget restraints and whatsoever. These KPIs can then continuously, if applied, justify that and avoid that you might get into a scenario where you've been asked these questions.
That's very right. I hear that too. I mean, sometimes there's not even agreement about what is a data product, and sometimes getting down to these KPIs and understanding, what's the deal, what's important, and what's the priority also helps you clarify what's important for yourself, without bickering between, about definitions and so on. You're so right also to bring up the point about how are you data driven if you don't have KPIs to show? That's so true. I mean, preaching something that and instead rely on things like being data driven is fundamental, right? Or data is the new oil, things like this. That's mysticism. That's more, yeah, exactly. That's more like mysticism rather than coming with concrete numbers that the business can see and can track. So establishing KPIs is also a very good exercise for the data team too.
Exactly, because here also you get out of these technicalities. We data professionals have the tendency to be very technical, also in the way we communicate our existence and our efforts. KPIs support us here to pick up a language that is approachable to the wider audience within the organization, to make them understand, for example, the average time to market for a new data product. Yeah, by indicating that we, for example, becoming more faster in demanding to delivering data products, we can actually prove that there is some efficiencies attached to what we are doing, and it is becoming better and better. Yeah. So I think, yes, it is very important to pick up these KPIs also as a language or as a way of communication. Yeah.
Very good. I completely agree with you, and there's a good point here by Cesar about it's about what they experience, right? What should be tracked. Well, at least the most important KPIs the business stakeholders need to know are those that impact them directly and those they can see the outcome of. Because
Yeah.
everything else, it's like you don't wanna suffocate them in numbers that are not related to something they see. That's your expertise. That's the thing you should track internally, but they're not company-wide KPIs.
That is a very good point, Pio, because if we look into a KPI, I mean, I don't want to sound very theoretical, but the purpose of a KPI is to tell us what is the impact on a specific goal. Yeah. A KPI is tied to an outcome that drives business value. That's the difference, for example, to a metric. A metric is without direction of business alignment. Yeah, so a KPI is in that sense it is a better vehicle to explain the business value, the importance of it, and what is coming out as a result of it, as an concrete benefit.
Very good. Now, we're getting some really great questions. I'm very happy to see that. But I was wondering if afterwards you can share something with our audience, like something, because many questions, understandably, they depend on the KPI or they depend on the maturity of the organization. But perhaps after this, you could share something with the audience, someone who wants more in-depth knowledge than we can share in 40 minutes.
Of course. Again, yeah, I invite everyone to DM me or leave a comment here asking for maybe the KPIs, or I also very happy to have a call with you guys and look specific into your organizational situation and suggest maybe possible KPIs that would help you. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you find that these KPIs are evolving in time, right? Because, we one at some point we talk about data mesh, then all the attention goes towards AI, and you've been in the business for quite some time, both as a practitioner and in consulting. Have you seen the priority KPIs evolving over the last 5 years or decade?
Yes, definitely. So I think with the increase of technological advancements and new possibilities, for example, with advanced analytics, new KPIs came into the picture. But also, if we talk about data platforms, so in the past we do not really had these platform mentality. Now we do. These platforms again bring in other aspects that we need to consider if we want to look into KPIs or data protection. Also, a very important topic when we talk about data security, data protection, and so on. So also here new KPIs can be considered or should be considered depending on the industry. I'm thinking here, especially if we talk about pharma, medtech, banking, and we deal with sensible data of customers and patients, so on. So there is continuously also new KPIs that can be considered. But again, depending always on where do we stand and what do we want to focus on and what is the right target that we want to achieve within a specific time frame. Yeah. So this is not a one-time activity that you look into the stack and say, I select these KPIs and done. No, it also has to be questioned. Are we having the right KPIs? Are we having the right targets in place? Yeah, and how we can use these KPIs also or adapt it in the future. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that one of the reasons why so many data or AI initiatives have failed over the last years, and also one of the reasons why the CDO role hasn't grown to the stratospheric importance than we were expecting to, is in the fact that KPIs were not established or the right or the wrong numbers were picked? Do you think it has to do with that?
I mean, there are definitely different reasons why it succeeds or it doesn't succeed. But I would definitely claim that the value contribution out of a dedicated data office is something that was not that visible to many within the organization. Yeah, and I think it also has to do with the topic that in the past, yeah, like historically speaking, data was something that was more coming and understood from colleagues from the IT. Business units, business representatives have less understood their role when it came to improving data or owning data or setting up data quality requirements and so on. This has shifted. Fortunately, it has shifted. Yeah.
Yeah,
So with these claims, yeah, we want to be more now data driven. We want to apply more data mindset within the organization. There is a shift of accountability and responsibility towards the business units, rightfully so. And this requires then from the core roles to also engage in a communication pattern that is relatable and understandable by the business units. KPIs here are definitely something that can support a better understanding on the other side. Yeah. So in that sense, yes, you're right, Pio. I think a lot of data professions and offices have not proven enough with KPIs also. What do they bring in, yeah, to the organization, to the business model of the organization? Yeah? And by agreeing on KPIs and the targets, they can definitely shift that understanding.
absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely a part also because, success is relative. Was it established what success means in the beginning? Were there metrics, were there KPIs to say, okay, we're doing this for this reason, and we hit the mark? Because sometimes it's also, and I've seen it, we have both seen it, I'm sure, initiatives that started, costed a ton of money, and then the question arose, why? What was it that we were trying to do? What was the mark, the objective? Again, success is something that needs to be embedded when establishing KPIs in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you again very you're highlighting a very important point. Everyone understood, okay, we need to focus on data. But what does it exactly mean? No one from the C-level really understood that topic. Yeah. And the others were also having their understanding what it means. So it was a bit of, okay, we bring people in, also consultancies, and we let them do. Most of the time, very much technically driven. We bring in some tools, yeah, and then yeah, the magic happens, improvement is there. So, and that again, I think I said it before, but I will stress it out again. KPIs right at the beginning are also a way of protecting the data office and where they put their time and effort in. Yeah, because when you get a mandate, you can immediately highlight the KPIs that are important. And even if you do not have a data office, if you engage, for example, in certain projects, data migration, new ERP system, CSIM system, or a merger and acquisition, you can define KPIs related to your data management. And that is a way of protecting also or ensuring what is your part in that initiative. Yeah. Making that clear right from the beginning.
Yeah, a system of accountability. It's indeed what protects the data office and makes sure that the counterparts are also performing. I mean, they're doing their part in making sure these KPIs are followed. If the KPIs are established in a way that they touch other parts, which is how
Exactly.
it should be, then
Yeah,
it's a multi. It's an effort of different people, and the system of accountability for all of them is necessary.
exactly. I mean, if I give you an example, so you can say data domains. Yeah, we talk about, yeah, we mentioned also today becoming more data driven. Yeah, or we want to be operating in a data mesh concept or approach. That means data domains play a fundamental role. So by having KPIs specifically for the setup and the rollout and running data domains, you make also transparent how the different data domains are operating, which of them are more advanced, which of them are less advanced, which of them are maybe not even interested in engaging in these activities. Yeah. So this again, it is a vehicle to to create transparency for the top management to realize what is working and what is not working. And you can pick then the ones that are performing very well or the ones that are not performing so well and discuss with them why it is going better or not so good. And again, get some insights out that you then can consider for future steps.
Yeah, it's a system of both accountability and optimization, because then when you see that there is a certain thing that performs particularly well based on numbers,
Mm.
there's no guesswork in investing more into it,
Yeah,
right? It's going well. The numbers are showing and everything is going. So, as I was saying in the beginning, the KPIs should be a friend of the data office, and a way to secure more budget for for things that are working well.
exactly. Yeah.
Now, there's a question here from Mary. Great topic, thanks, and thank you for being with us, Mary. Who should review or sign off the KPIs, and how often are they reviewed?
Yes. Good question. And again, it depends on the specific KPI. But for example, if we look into data products, yeah, without now discussing what is a data product or not, but let's say we provide data products, and then we want to look into the topic of data product redundancy, duplicates. Yeah. So here we have a topic that is there's a lot of accountability expected from data product owners, yeah, that need to track, are there redundant data products? Are the data products all still actively used? Yeah. And if not, why? And so on. So we have here, depending on what we want to look into, always accountability attached to roles that sit within the functional units or business units. And I would say now more overarching roles, the ones that, for example, are providing the platform or are responsible for making sure that governance as a general topic is understood. They are the ones that put the pieces together and make sure that the conversations are flourishing. Yeah. And for that, they need also KPIs on a more macro level. Yeah. So it is a back and forth between different role holders and KPIs that you want them to look into to address the topics. I hope that answers the question from Mary.
There's a remark here from Natalia. I have counted the word KPIs around 70 times over this interview. I hope people understand the value of KPIs now.
I hope so.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah. We're coming to the end of the session essentially, but I've seen many very good questions. It definitely shows this is a topic that we need to discuss about more. I know you'll share something afterwards, some frameworks that our viewers can use in their own organizations. So actually, how can they get that? What's the preferred way for you to share the frameworks if you have, Nagim?
Ideally, if you drop me a direct message with your email address, and I will then engage with you. If you want, again, also a conversation, I can provide my Calendly link, book a slot that is in your favor, and then we can also discuss potential KPIs in more depth that are suitable for you. And again, I'm happy to share. Yeah, I think our profession, we need to work more together. We need to support each other and create a common understanding also on some of these key topics, such as KPIs. Yeah, I think in general we all can benefit from that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you've been there. You did work in several companies as a practitioner and so on, and therefore this is something that you're not just talking about from the point of view of an expert or from a consultancy standpoint, but it is something that you were involved in very much. And thank you for being with us, Francis. And again, best way, therefore, the best way to reach out to you, of course, reaching out, connecting with you on LinkedIn. I guess that would be the first step.
Yes.
And if anyone, I would recommend, if anyone is watching this session afterwards, once we're already gone and it's already not live, do ask questions. I'm sure that Nagim, I'm sure that you will be very happy to answer to them afterwards in the comments.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to any question, any feedback provided. Feel free to reach out anytime.
Excellent. There's a question here, last one from Natalia. What are your plans for April?
For April, my plans. Well, I have two highlights within April. One is the birthday of my wife, and the other one, which is coming after the birthday of my wife, is the Think Lab taking place in Prague from the 9th until the 11th. And this time I have the pleasure to have a dedicated training session on the topic of data ownership and data stewardship. What are the key roles? What are the necessary responsibilities? How to select the right candidates for these roles? So really looking forward to diving deep into that topic and engaging with others. Think Lab, definitely. And my
Very
wife.
good.
Yeah.
Both, it's a great month then. Fantastic month. Very good. Well, we have a lot of our audience here. Thank you very much for asking questions. Thank you for being with us. Of course, stay tuned, follow ThinkLinkers, connect with Nagim, and we like to share. As you were saying before, Nagim, is very important that we we discuss these things openly. We have a debate, not just a PowerPoint presentation, but rather try to all bring something to the table. We touched upon many things, I feel, over the last 45 minutes, and we talked both about situations where organizations are at a high maturity level, but also when there is not a data office established, which requires two different approaches, being more selective about the KPIs you pick, the importance also of picking the of always keeping in mind the matter of what's in it for the counterpart, for the business counterpart. So that was a great talk. I loved it.
Me too. Really good questions from you and also from the audience. And looking forward to the next session like this.
Very good. So thank you very much to all of you for joining us. I look forward to welcome you again in the future. And I also wish you a fantastic continuation of the day.
Likewise. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.